Hi, everyone.
You're live.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Luis Vasquez. Thank you so much for joining us today to launch the Golden State Multicultural Alliance, a one-of-a-kind small business partnership born in Los Angeles. The Golden State Multicultural Alliance is made up of 3 small businesses. We're all agencies that include Innovate Marketing. The president is Amanda Mao. Wicked Bionic, led by Dana Arnett. She is the co-founder and CEO. And myself, Luis Vasquez, president of Lava Force here in Los Angeles. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of partnerships. We're also going to talk about the importance of small business to the economy and how small businesses can help people of color, women build equity. To support our efforts, we're happy to be joined by Xiomara Peña, Vice President of Engagement for the Small Business Majority of the. This is one of the country's leading small business advocate. Xiomara has been a champion of small businesses, and we'll talk about both why the private sector and the public sector should be more inclusive in their procurements with small businesses. Following her remarks, we will then introduce ourselves briefly, and we'd then love to get into a conversation with each of you. I also want to give out a big shout out to Nick Barrios with LA Build Out for his support. And now I'd love to get going and turn it over to Xiomara.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you so much for inviting me to join you all for this amazing launch and congratulations on all of the work that you've all put together to begin this partnership. My name is Xiomara Peña. I'm the Vice President of Engagement here at Small Business Majority. We're a national nonprofit small business advocacy organization, and for the last 15 years, we have dedicated ourselves to addressing the unique needs of small business owners, their employees, and the self-employed entrepreneurs in our communities. And we primarily serve folks within those underserved communities, recognizing that entrepreneurs of color oftentimes face significant barriers and challenges in reaching the equity that they seek as a result of their entrepreneurship venture. We engage our network of over 85,000 small business owners and nearly 1,000 business partners and community organizations, and frequently advocate for pragmatic policy solution. And we also focus on delivering resources to entrepreneurs. In my current role as Vice President of Engagement, it is my effort to really focus on our external engagement strategies to build more inclusive and equitable, economy that directly benefits entrepreneurs in those underserved communities. I should note I've had many roles that have enabled me to really understand macro and micro solutions to support diverse small business owners while at Small Business Majority over the last close to 8 years. One thing that I do want to acknowledge, and Luis referenced this, our women and communities of color are huge contributors to our economy. And we want to be certain that they have the tools, the resources, and the capital they need to thrive. But in addition to tools and resources, I think that there are very clear concepts when we think about the role that procurement and supplier diversity plays in building more stronger small businesses, and the impact that that serves for our greater communities is vast. We've been talking about policies around implementing more progressive procurement goals at the federal government, at state governments, at local governments, but private companies also have their role to play here as well. Procurement and supplier diversity are one of the ways in which you're not giving one opportunity to one person. That opportunity to that small business means more jobs for folks within that local economy, means more dollars that are going to be brought to that local community. And we know of the big impact that spending $1 at a small business has. When you spend $1 at a small business, roughly 60 cents of that dollar is recirculated within that local community, in comparison to only 30 cents when you spend at a corporate partner. And so when we think about the role that small businesses play in supplier diversity, in equity, I think that it's important to recognize that coalitions like this, where you're seeing great partnership with leaders, this community and business leaders that have proven skill set to meet the needs of potential partners, I think it's important to recognize that that impact it's a small impact that can have a huge economic impact locally. And as we think about what the term equity means, I think it's important to recognize that most folks that enter small business ownership sometimes can be because entrepreneurship is a proven pathway to building economic mobility. And so opportunities that are provided to business owners through those dollars are investments in communities. I also want to acknowledge that while we've seen that communities of color have struggled, that all businesses have struggled as a result of the pandemic, it should be noted that communities of color have absolutely been devastated as a result of the pandemic. We've seen over 400,000 businesses shutter in the wake of the pandemic, but we know that small businesses are resilient. They've been able to pivot. They've been able to grow significantly. And that's something that we recognize is only going to continue. But how we invest and spend our dollars is critical. So thank you again for inviting me to be here today. I'd like to turn it over at this time.
Amanda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Great. Thank you so much, Xiomara. That was so inspirational. Hello, everybody. I'm the CEO and founder of Innovate Marketing Group. We're an experience agency specializing in event strategy and management for corporate and large community events. We work with brands that want to create wow experiences. Our mission really is to help fuel brands to change lives for the better. Some of our clients, you might have heard of them, include LA County, City of Glendale, East West Bank, and TikTok. Our tagline here is, we do all the work, you take all the credit. And just like what Xiomara said, last year, it was a crucial year because our industry was completely impacted. But guess what? We are resilient and we did pivot. So since then, we have done over 130 virtual events, and we're very proud to still be standing here today speaking with all of you. And that's, when Xiomara was saying her speech, I'm just like sitting on my chair and nodding because I'm just so proud to be part of that. And everybody that's here today, thank you so much for making a time to join us.
What's really remarkable about Amanda is that her team is all women-led. The production of this Zoom call is handled by all women-led teams. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. We're very delighted to be here today.
Wicked Bionic.
And yes, Dana Arnett, how is everybody? Thank you so much for signing on and joining us today. And Xiomara, I'm listening to you. I'm like, it's exactly what Amanda said. So proud to be part of, first of all, the city of Los Angeles as a small business and woman-owned and LGBTQ, but just the passion that people like you have for helping people like us. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for spending, I know you're a busy woman, for your time with us this morning. And I run a company called Wicked Bionic. We're a multicultural marketing and advertising agency. We have proven results in helping organizations attract new, diverse customers, gain greater exposure, and impact their communities on a daily basis. That's where our passion lies. Our specialty is in delivering media campaigns that connect multicultural audiences to products and services that enhance their lives. And for us, we work with the City of Los Angeles, the state of California, San Diego Gas and Electric, as well as private sector businesses. And I will say, the thing that has meant the most to Wicked Bionic in our agency, we are a multicultural, multi-generational agency. And I think that really informs our ability to attract the diverse residents, certainly in the city of Los Angeles. And we understand who they are. We try to meet them where they are, as you were saying, under-resourced communities, Xiomara. Those are the people that we can reach. However we do that, it might be billboards, buses, rail, radio, TV, Facebook, Google, but all the different ways we figure out how to touch these people and share our client's message. It might be a service or initiative or a product that needs to be sold or connected and engaged with by the audience. But that's what we love to do because we see the results of that. And I just want to wrap up with this. We work for the Los Angeles Public Library and all 73 libraries, and they have a couple of programs, and one of them is offering free high school diploma scholarships to people in our city, to residents. All you have to do is have a library card to apply for a scholarship. And we were so fortunate 2 years ago, after all of our advertising and the work by the library, we were able to go to a graduation of these students who had gotten a diploma online through the Los Angeles Public Library. And we cried. It was just so beautiful. So there's so much that can be done to help those of us that are in business, but to give us the opportunity to help you. So we're so grateful to be here. Thank you for including us.
Awesome. I'm Luis Vasquez. I am a Emmy award-winning producer. I am the head of Lava Force. What I focus on and what we try to do is help clients reach the Latino community. It is the largest ethnic minority community in the US. We represent trillions of dollars, but the sad fact is we are overlooked. Here in my hometown of LA, my new hometown, while we represent 5 million people, less than 1% of us are in the film industry. That includes people in front of camera, behind cameras, grips, caterers, and we're invisible. And so what we aim to do through Lava is to bring the Latino community to the forefront. Yesterday, I had the privilege to help out the 51st Chicanx moratorium that took place 51 years ago here in East LA. It was the largest gathering of Latinos protesting the war, and it was a major social justice event. No one knows about this history. Yesterday, we had a news conference to announce the 51st Chicano moratorium. I was told by longtime activists they have never seen so many media companies come out there. And so one of the things that we really help our clients do is to get out there in the media. While digital is really important, the reality of it is the majority of Americans consume their news from television. Television is still king. That's where people get their news. But equally as important, this begins with the newspapers. So we also help our clients get in the papers, whether it's the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, through op-eds, through articles. Once again, bringing the Latino community from being invisible to the forefront. So that's what we do. And what we really believe in is that words move mountains, words move mountains. But having said all that, the reality of it is I've realized you can't do it alone. And that's why we formed the Golden State Multicultural Alliance. I had an opportunity come to me about a month ago or so to pitch a big client. And though I had all the experience, they were looking for someone that had experience with app development, grassroots, statewide experience, but I couldn't do it alone. So what I thought was, why don't we team up with others? And so then I reached out to some of my partners like Amanda, and we reached out to other people. We pulled together our bid and we went after this account. But what I'll tell you what was really important is that with our concept, our sales strategy was that I've been involved in government contracting for a long time, and the usual structure is a prime subcontractor. But I realized in this case that wasn't good enough. I really wanted to show the client that it wasn't just Luis going after this account, it was for other firms, and that they're equally important, that all the principals were going to be there engaged. It wasn't just going to be the president with a bunch of account executives underneath them after they won the contract. What we were offering was top tier talent. And that's the other thing with the Golden State Marketing Alliance. What you will find here is people that can turn on a dime. Every one of those hurdles that are put in front of small business people. Are you certified? Yes, we are certified. Have you been in business? Over a decade in business. Are you award winning? Absolutely. Do you show up on time? Early is on time. So all those hurdles that are put in front of us, we've overcome. So that's the other value we offer people, is that when you work with the Golden State Alliance, you are in trusted hands. We have worked with the largest. Some of our clients at Lava, which I started in 2017, include Maya Cinemas, led by Moctezuma Esparza, legendary filmmaker. Meet Puerto Rico, out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, helping them with their nationwide initiatives, National Charters Association, among many others. And now we're ready to help out you. And before we talk a little bit more about how we can help you, I'd like to turn this conversation over to Xiomara, and I have a couple of questions for you to begin. One is, why is it important to have this kind of partnership, even though we're not a formal partnership? Why is this important to you? The other question is, I was fascinated by the dollars that are recycled by small businesses. You said for every dollar, 60 cents goes back into the community. How did you track that? And how can we get more dollars into small businesses if that's the impact we're having?
So on the first question, thank you so much, Luis. On the first question of why are partnerships like this important? You know, in procurement spaces, and let's just take a step back. When we're thinking about procurement as a whole, oftentimes some small business owners discount themselves already from the process. They say, well, I only sell pencils, or I only sell, paper. I don't really, but think of the city of LA, think of the state of California. It's a massive potential customer that is being left on the table there. And so it's a massive opportunity in terms of thinking about starting a relationship, even if you're not a prime contract winner, even to develop a relationship as a sub. So procurement as a whole can be extremely life-changing for businesses. And all of you here have had your fair share of experience working with various entities, whether it's government or private clients that you're facilitating contracts for. I think one of the great ways to demonstrate value is via partnerships. You might have your expertise in one area, Luis, but Amanda here seems like she has her expertise in another area, and Dana again. So I think that each one of you has something positive to contribute to build a stronger proposal when you're looking to pitch, when you're responding to those RFPs put out by cities and counties. And I think that if one person grows, you're talking about, again, the impact, the ripple effect that then filters out. So if you were able to get one contract on your own for $1 million, but you four together, this alliance together competing on a contract, are able to compete for a $5 million contract, you're already there alone builds the value of the partnership. And I think oftentimes small business owners, entrepreneurs, we're cultured, it's normalized to operate in a very isolated fashion. We might have broken away from our jobs to start our business. So all our contacts are folks that still are employed elsewhere, right? So we may not be able to even articulate to our network, our existing network, of the challenges that we're facing. And it becomes a very isolating pathway for many people. And adding on a layer for communities of color and for women, again, more isolation from the ecosystem. So when you're establishing a partnership, you're also, in that sense, building your social capacity, your social network. And that alone is also extremely valuable because, again, you're sharing information consistently. And so the partnership alone, I think it's a really unique way to build to build on the strengths that you all have to bring to the table, and to try to compete for some of those contracts that I think are incredible opportunities as we think about. And right now, I would just add, a lot of companies are rethinking their supplier diversity strategies, especially as a result of all of the social events that unfolded last year. And so I think this is the time, if we're going to be leaning into partnerships and building our community for each other, this is the prime time to do that. Your second question was about the impact of dollars recirculating in a local economy. So the Federal Reserve does do some studies that does look at recirculation of dollars within local communities. They typically do a survey year to year. JP Morgan Chase also has an institute that that frequently publishes data on consumer spending patterns and how those patterns are differentiating. What we can do to encourage members within the larger community to do, and I think we saw some of this last year as a result of the pandemic, was placing an emphasis that, hey, without our support, these community places that we love are going to be gone. They're not going to be able to sustain themselves. So we saw a lot of folks, buy gift cards, go out of their way to spend at a small business. And we want to continue to encourage that. And so even, us getting together and running campaigns like a cheat day, when we are all encouraged to cheat on some of our other go-to Starbucks and Amazons and all those, even if one day of the week we all committed to say, I'm spending at a small business this day, that would have a monumental impact.
Xiomara, just to follow up, everyone's talking about small business, inclusivity, diversity, and all the wonderful things that you've talked about, Small Business Week. However, it does feel still that there's a lot of hurdles, that as a small business owner, and I've been doing this for some 25 years, that, the bar gets higher. So my question, am I imagining that, or are you hearing that from other entrepreneurs? The difficulty it is, I don't think that other businesses, if they were led by, for say, a white guy, a white man, would really go through a lot of the grueling process that normally I go through. In fact, I hear commonplace among my white friends, oh, a buddy of mine has that. Why don't you just give him a call? And it's as simple as that. That's the way the transaction's done.
I think it goes back to, again, so it's two things. One, I think it's inherently that social capital. we may be the first in our family to launch a business. We don't have that access to the wealth that has then been accumulated by a pre-existing business owner if we're the first. So we're faced with those challenges. If we're one of the few, if you are an entrepreneur and you don't have anyone within your network that is an entrepreneur, your social capital is then stifled. You're going to have to make an extra effort to build social connections with people that can plug you into opportunities, that can give you the heads up that RFPs are going to be coming. That connectedness is a layer that does have to happen. And oftentimes, I mean, let's go back 20 years ago, who was invited to the happy hours? How often did those happen? I like to, I always think about women. We didn't gain access to bank accounts till just a few years ago, if we really think about it. I mean, that's a big deal. So when you're talking about someone that is successful in business today, you're going to have to go and you're going to have to spend a little bit of extra time building that social capital. The second thing is the ecosystem. The ecosystem of small business supports that is designed to support small businesses varies. What does that mean? You have the SBA. Well, the SBA's definition of what a small business is, up to 500 employees, up to $5 million business. How many folks on average, self-employed individuals in this country earn about $56,000? Not millionaires. They're not, huge companies. And so they may not be accessing all of those resources that can really create a structured business that then is able to work with you while you're building it, but that is also packageable, sellable, transferable. And again, I want to hit on the point around entrepreneurship being that pathway towards economic stability and mobility. Entrepreneurship is a proven pathway to build wealth, but we know the statistics show us how many breakthrough companies we have that are Latina owned, women owned, people of color owned, that are in that bucket of $1 million plus. It's not many of us in that bucket. And so there's work to be done to continue to address the systemic barriers that exist there. That could mean something as simple as you applying for a contract, getting that contract, and then not being able to access the capital that you need to fulfill that contract. That could be something as simple as you not having the bonding requirements that some of these companies require, because some of them, even if you're providing a creative service, might want you to have this insane insurance and bonding. And so, there are policy, I think, recommendations that could support some relaxation. I think one of the other issues that we've seen around procurement and pose a challenge is prompt payments. Some of these companies, if they provide a contract, they might not pay out within the 90 days. They might extend that out. And that has a significant impact, again, on the cash flow of a business. And we have to recognize that. So yes.
And Xiomara, just a quick point just to underscore what you were saying, which is it seems that the federal government, state, and yes, some companies make it really difficult to work with small businesses. So we should talk about the benefits. But what I mean by that is, for example, each of our firms, we do different things. Innovate focuses on events management, Wicked Bionic, digital, all kinds of platforms, advertising, okay? And the reason we do that, because even though sometimes a potential prospect may be looking for graphic design services, then they say, oh, by the way, do you have event management services? Do you have digital? Do you have press release services? Do you have a public affairs? And I'm wondering, well, you're only asking for graphic design services. And so again, that's another way of eliminating a small businesses, because the firms that do have those are the large established agencies. So I don't know if that's something you've encountered as well with others.
We've seen it. I think that, again, given there's a momentum, I think that is happening as a result of the pandemic. There's a recovery strategy that we're seeing from the government side. We saw the president's announcement on procurement, the executive order that was released a couple of weeks ago. I think that in the programs that we see, the onus is on advocates like us and small business leaders to continue to institute that pressure so that this momentum that we have around supporting diverse business owners does not simply die down. Because oftentimes our span on items can be shortened, but we want to make sure that there is still an ongoing collaborative effort around raising awareness of how this procurement diversity strategy supports communities.
Yeah, and I think you brought up leadership, and that's where I really want to bring up Amanda. Not only is she a dynamic entrepreneur, but she has her pulse on the Asian American community. So a couple things that I wanted you to address, Amanda, is number one is how significant is entrepreneurship to the Asian American community? And then the other thing I've noticed, and I'm not sure whether you've noticed this trend, but it seems that younger people want to become entrepreneurs, like literally at like elementary. When can I start a business? Even my teenage son is starting a business. So how do you see entrepreneurship growing in the Asian American community?
I would say, in general, I mean, small business create 1.5 million jobs every year, right? But within the Asian community, yes, we are one. I would say people call us the model minority, but we are also have a lot of entrepreneur spirit. I myself, I'm an immigrant here. I moved here when I was 10 years old, and my parents started a company here. They started from scratch here, and it did really well, right? But even within, I used to sit on the board of Asian Business Association. You're right, there are a lot of young entrepreneurs, and I think with the trend of TikTok and all these things, people are just born. There are actually a lot more entrepreneurs are being born because of these trends, because they could sell, they make a fun TikTok, and now they're an entrepreneur, right? I heard there's this mascara that sold out last time. Someone went to Target, they were looking for a mascara, and other people were looking for mascara, and they're like, oh yeah, it's the one we saw on TikTok. So it's kind of interesting how that goes. And we're always trying to encourage the next generation. I also sit on the board of entrepreneur organization. We're worried that, eventually this organization will term out because quote unquote, there's too many of the older folks like me. So we're constantly thinking about the next generation, the pipeline, how can we help them, the next gens, right? I think that's really important to fuel that economy in terms of we kind of have gone through it. And that's why I sit on various boards, because I had so much help. And I really feel like, I know we were talking about, diversity. I see at the other end of the spectrum. When I go to these meetings, I don't see myself as an Asian American. I see myself as an American. And I just happen to be Asian, but I own an amazing event management agency, right? Even in the past, and it's all about the community. It's all about supporting each other. When we signed the $1 million contract with Edison, how do we come about knowing about that contract? It was literally someone like a Xiomara that called and emailed and say, hey, Amanda, there's an event management contract out there for $1 million. You guys want in? By the way, are you certified? And we were ready. We checked all those boxes. We went in, there's 10 different companies. We ended up getting the project. So I definitely know the power of stronger together. So I love being part of this today.
Dana.
I'd love to speak. Yeah, I was going to say, can I just speak to that for a second?
Sure, jump on.
Yes, I love it. I love what you said, Amanda, because I think that's the biggest thing at Wicked Bionic that I've realized over the past. We've been in business, we're in our 7th year, and is that we were operating on our own. Exactly what you said, Xiomara, like in a room alone, like thinking that all those contacts from when I was in television for 30 years were going to actually support us, and it did for a year and a half, and then we had nothing. And I didn't know about being involved with other businesses, or that there was support in the city of Los Angeles. I was born in Inglewood, and I didn't even know anything about small businesses because I'd worked for people my entire prior career. And so I think now what I finally figured out over the last 3 or 4 years is that partnerships get us more business, provide a better service for our clients, and move us forward faster. And I think exactly to what you were saying, Amanda, it's like that it's great to get something on your own. And that City of Los Angeles contract, it changed the lives of the people that work for us, and it kept our business growing. And I think when that happens, it's so powerful, because I know what we can do. And people ask us on contracts, we need to then hire diverse businesses as well. We might be a small business, but I need somebody else that has not just needs the certifications, but I want to help bring people up as well. And that's the biggest gift. It's not just small business. Hey, can you help me out somewhere? I'm a minority or a woman owned or LGBTQ, but how can I then, I've just gotten $1 million contract. How can I help that next person as well? So we join together. And I think that's what the Alliance was really about. How do we lift each other up and serve others?
Yeah, you also brought something up that I wanted to ask you, which is you're involved in two different communities. You're part of the women community, part of the LGBT community, and each of us are experts in reaching out to our community. So my question is, how important is it for people to target their message to the LGBT community? And by the way, has there been a stereotype that you've seen when people do try to reach out and, and they just, goof up, and why they may need someone like you?
Well, it's funny. I'll tell this quick story, very quick story. Kmart, one of the biggest brands in the US, they had, this is all over media, they had this huge campaign that they wanted to release, and it was basically to yoga moms. And they were presenting this beautiful, mellow furniture and outdoor furniture, this yoga experience. And their ad came out, and most of you would understand this. And the ad came out, and 50%, should I say, of their customers are Hispanic women. And the ad came out, beautiful, billboards, digital, Namaste, it said at the top. Well, I didn't know that, but I understand from my business partner that was Namaste, which in Spanish, for those that don't know, is suck it. So they came out with a huge campaign that they didn't maybe ask just one Hispanic. Do you think this will fly with our consumers? So, big nosedive to that point. Exactly what you're saying, Louise, is like making sure that our message resonates to whomever we're reaching, whatever, like, are we speaking to them where and how they consume content, but culturally who they are, not trying to whitewash marketing. How are we speaking to each community exactly where they are? And that's based upon research and knowledge and experience.
Yeah, quick thing on making sure the message is right. I really want to pivot to Amanda, because I think she's got a lot to share. Unfortunately, we have now gone the Zoom way of communicating. And the good thing is we have someone like Amanda who produced, and we worked together last year, 100 online events. So what I want you to focus on would really be three important things. What do you think are the three most important things that people can do to elevate their Zoom experience? Because now the experience is this. So how is it that we can make a rich educational experience, a meeting experience, a media experience? What can you teach us?
Wonderful. I love this topic, because literally last year when this happened, we were thinking, do we close our doors and I go on early retirement, or are we going to think about a solution, how we're going to help our client? Right. And I love that we came up with a solution, because all the clients who ended up going with us to do virtual event, I can tell you they either raised more money, did a fantastic job, and now they have able to do live and virtual. So I would say number one, before you start your event, think about your event strategy. Who is this really for? Two, think about the attendee's journey, right? And make sure you build in not only high impact, but high engagement elements into your event. For the Los Angeles County Women's Leadership event that we did for over 1,000 people international, since last year we expanded, we had a 90% engagement. Why is that? You have to build in all those elements. It's very intentional. And last but not least, you can actually utilize things like this. Is what we call an events to go kit. So you can actually send this to people prior to the event. It arrives in their house, so it's not junk mail, but rather something that people want. And then it used as two elements. So one, it serves as a reminder that your event is coming up. We usually schedule it so it arrives the week up. Second, it has elements inside that people can interact with. Now you really have, with those three elements, three top strategies, you can really produce a very high engagement, high impact event for your audience. Yeah.
The only things I will add to event stuff, and don't forget this, those that are with us, is that an event is about people. And you really need to get on the phone, whether it's a virtual event, a physical event. You've got to ask people, re-invite them, engage them, and give them what they want. So we're coming to a close here, and I'm really excited that first of all, Xiomara, you've been here with us. This is awesome. For each of us, what would you like the audience to know about, number one, the value of partnerships? Because as you know, it's hard to bring people together, coalitions, there's adversity sometimes to working together. So I think number one is, what's the value in partnership? The other is, how can we continue to build equity in our community through small businesses? And I really love the passion that each of you have for helping younger people get involved. I really think that's the ticket as well, how we can get more younger people, and especially I think poor people, poor Latinos, poor African Americans. How can we get them more engaged in entrepreneurship as a path to getting out of those dire situations that we live in? Xiomara, you want to kick off?
I'll just start off by, sure, thank you so much. Again, I think even in the work that I do today, partnership is everything. We're one organization. We couldn't do what we do, reach the thousands of people that we reach by ourselves. So even in the nonprofit world, partnerships are really critical to growing. On small business, I myself have been a small business owner. I know what that's like. Again, because it can be so isolating, I think partnerships provide that value to build together. I loved what Dana said, grow faster, get there faster. There's a great African proverb that says, you want to go fast, go alone, you want to go far, go together. And it's really true. We can only build so much on our own. And when we invite others to be with us in that process, we're able to build much more rapidly, but also sustainably. Second piece around equity, and I think you guys talked about younger people entering entrepreneurship. You know, the future of work is changing, and what work looks like in building different streams of income, I think will significantly change because of the access to technology that we have. And knowing that not everyone in every community has that access or has the mentorships in their lives that can be talking about the power of entrepreneurship or the power of diversifying your streams of income. I think the onus is on change makers and community leaders to also play that role. And so I see that all of you in your own way are also going to play an active role in continuing to demonstrate the value of entrepreneurship there for the next generation. And I think that that's really important. We can't hold our secrets to our success to ourselves. I think we do ourselves a disservice when we do that. Because we can be cultivating that next wave of entrepreneurs to grow. And so inspiring others to continue to build, to try and fail if needed, I think is something that we need to be mindful of. And you said something, and I just wanted to point to the fact that I think that there's a difference when we think about, and I think this was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but when we think about poor versus broke, you know, sometimes the circumstances that we're brought into in our lives, I'm a first generation Latina. My parents leveraged entrepreneurship, but did not have the tools to really build empires and businesses. They never even considered themselves entrepreneurs, but they were. I was a young teen parent myself. I overcame a lot of obstacles and overcame a lot of barriers, but I still reach back out. But the environment and circumstances that we might be born into might frame whether we are broke, and broke is a temporary mind state. There are changes that we can follow in order to get us out of that pathway. So I encourage everyone to continue to build that up.
Wonderful. Thank you. Xiomara, I also love the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and passing down the wisdom. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thank you again for Xiomara Peña for sharing her incredible insights with us. Thank you to our members, Luis Vasquez with Lava Force, Dana Arnett with Wicked Bionic. Thank you to all the attendees who made time to join us today. Make sure to check out the Golden State Multicultural Alliance, and we'll really look forward to working with all of you soon. And feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Xiomara.